I must say, it's funny because Ovo is actually partnering with Joachim, which is a nice segue with T-Systems. Sorry, so it's a nice segue to Joachim's presentation, which I really appreciated. It's funny. I'm going to talk about something which is a bit different, which is, I think, pretty, to a certain extent, really new. Even though what Joachim mentioned, you had customer interactions inside the vehicle, but it's been really, compared to AI, compared to autonomous, it's been really timid. And this whole Ovo story started actually by a car interaction with between Dr. Zlotkin, who's a close friend of mine. We've been working for the past 5 years. We were in a car between Tel Aviv and Jerusalem after a series of meetings, and he was telling me about another startup he was working on, which was a thin client for Android's application for phones, and it was for corporate companies, and it was very difficult because companies don't really care about security in cell phones, and we're trying to discuss about pivoting and trying to figure out. And I launched this crazy idea. I said, maybe that would be very interesting to have inside a vehicle. Maybe you should look into that. And it wasn't exactly the same thing as Munity, but fundamentally, that's what Ovo is all about. He took this concept about a year later to market, started Ovo, and 2 years later, this is where we are. And I'm going to tell you the story, and you can see that car interactions can be pretty powerful. So my background is, as you saw. First of all, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity of presenting to such an audience. After 3 months of confinement, it's nice to be talking to people, even though I can't hear you because apparently there's a 10 seconds delay. I've been working in the car industry for about 25 years. I've been working on connected car for 20 years. And one thing I have learned in those past 20 years is that innovation and connected car innovation takes time to evolve. And connected car telematics has been around for 60 years as a dream. I think it's coming together today. And I think Ovo is actually answering to a completely different side of our spectrum, which is really dashboard interaction with the customer, which has been really, to a certain extent, unmet as a connected car need. This customer interaction. What is Ovo? Ovo is an Israeli company based out of Tel Aviv. It was started by a series of serial entrepreneurs, repeat entrepreneurs, very successful in the enterprise and IT space, specialized around cybersecurity and virtualization. Right. Our aim is to become a sort of Salesforce.com of in-car interactions. Right. Namely, being the infrastructure to deliver, to secure, to orchestrate any apps delivery, any service delivery onto the car dashboard. And it's very exciting times. Really, sincerely, it's really exciting times. We are currently trying to build our partner ecosystem of value-added providers and of applications, of services. We're actually working with T-Systems on such a service, actually. And really feel free to reach out to me and the team, to come to the Q&A session later so we can interact, because this is really inviting you to participate, right? That's really what we want to do today. Now, funnily enough, I was also, trying to go back to talk about Onstar, which started 25 years ago. I've actually worked with them, but considerable progress has been made. But when you look at it, when progress has been made, it's mostly when the access to the car has been open and when the cloud came into play. Most of the ODB2 based services and great startups that we've been hearing about is because of those standards. It's the capacity of actually reaching inside the car, extracting that data, and doing something with it. On the customer side, on the customer interaction side, for very good reasons, the car makers have been trying to put a lid on it. So let's be honest. They were first scared from a security standpoint. Second, they wanted to control their brand experience and brand identity. Of course, as you start getting into the car dashboard, you're getting into their territory, into their brand. And the last point has been they've been trying to monetize that experience. There's considerable value there. We saw limited progress with cell phone mirroring, which has been forced on the car makers because they didn't have the capability of doing it. And then Apple and Google entered. And for now, they're just providing entertainment and navigation services. They're certainly announcing more applications around parking and fueling and stuff like that. But overall, it's been fairly limited, right? And there are a lot of players out there that are really truly suffering. There are many B2B companies whose very business depends on interacting with customers inside the car. It could be OEMs, it could be car importers. There's a number of instances where, for example, the package that is provided centrally by the OEM doesn't work. That's the case in Israel, for example, where a lot of the car importers change completely the IZI package to make it local. But that's true in other countries, in Thailand, in Russia, elsewhere. They're trying to build loyalty and localize the content. Car dealers also, especially after COVID, are looking to truly differentiate because they're losing significant part of their business with the electric vehicle, and that's really important to them, that they keep the contact with the customer, especially with electric vehicle. So potentially they do the tire changes and it's not somebody else. So car dealers are also very much trying to get inside the car dashboard, and the car makers haven't been really straightforwardly open about it. There are other players, be it leasing companies with very large fleets and very diversified fleets with many different systems, who have been fighting and trying to implement different connected car strategies and failing because of the Herculean task of trying to manage millions of cars with as many instantiations of technologies from one car producer to the other, but also from one model to the other. And finally, you have these new mobility players, car sharing companies, ride hailing companies, taxi companies, etc., who are being challenged. Their business models are being completely redesigned, and they need to figure out ways to interact with their customers. I'll be showing you a video that I took 2 weeks ago in Paris, whereby I'm renting a car off the street, and I had to go through a number of processes that are not really that streamlined, are pretty complicated. And so there's tremendous value for these people to have access to the customer inside their cars. I think Joachim mentioned some of those, right? And of course, some of them already exist, e-call, concierge to a certain extent. But for B2B, for our B2B customers, rental companies, dealer, there's really not much that's available to them. They want to have their own brand world inside the car. Let's say almost substituting to the car makers world, even though that also needs to be improved. So we consider, just so you have an idea, we consider that in 15 years, just for Ovo, the addressable market is 50 billion. But it clearly, if we're talking e-commerce, e-insurance, payments for fuel, for parking, etc., this is a massive opportunity. These B2B players can't be dependent on anybody for such a strategic business, for their businesses. You know, if you're a car rental company, you're already dependent on different car makers for your product. You need to have direct access to your customers, right? You can't be dependent on an OEM saying, no, your app is not accepted, or we'll accept it in 3 months, or you need to change this because we don't like it. That's the first point. The second point is you can't be just another app sitting there on the dashboard with all the other ones. You want to differentiate your own brand world. That's completely new. That hasn't been possible, but that's going to be possible, and I'm going to show you how. You can't also afford sharing your margins. A lot of these businesses are not very high margin businesses, and you can't have a 30% cut for Google or Apple like it is happening in some cases online. Another aspect is they have a very specific request. They need their service to be bounded to the vehicle. They can't depend on the customer's phone being there, or having a battery for that matter, or having a cable to power that battery, or having the apps installed in the vehicle. In so many cases, the customer comes in and doesn't have that, or doesn't know how to use it. It needs to be compliant with safety regulations. Often the phones cannot be used, and you get fines, like in Israel, but also in France, for using your phone as you're driving. And remember, there's 1 accident out of 4 in the US is actually caused by texting. This needs to change, right? And all these companies have limited capacity to spend money on specific systems. You probably saw some of those taxis that have 4 or 5 phones to do ride hailing, or some taxi companies have very complex setup. Delivery companies also, truck companies also have that. Fundamentally, they need a technology independence. They need strategic independence. They need their technology to be agnostic to the model and to the car that they have, so that it's future proof. That's a very, very strong need, and Ovo as a platform is delivering just that. We are delivering onto the screen of modern cars, of any fleets of vehicle, hassle-free, any solution or any application that either as voice or as video or as services through apps, right? We access, and we'll show you the video. We insert ourselves into the car through our dongle, or potentially because the company has inserted us up front. So that makes us car bound. We seamlessly deliver any content, and I'll show you. I was doing it, and I'm not a tech. I was doing it seamlessly from my computer 2 weeks ago in Paris. So we make our customers completely independent to serve their customer inside the car, and from the cloud. Because we're doing all of that from the cloud, that makes us completely agnostic to any of the solutions installed into the car. Right? That's a very powerful model, and what it provides to our customers is an automotive grade performance. So it's probably not completely real time, as Joaquin was saying, but actually using 4G and without an optimized approach. Last week, we're doing fairly well in terms of capacity of non-critical applications inside the car. But we provide enterprise-grade security and SP-grade service provider-grade scalability by delivering these apps onto a diverse set of fleets, potentially based on their context, but based on the idea of the identification of, the identity of the driver, or of the car or of the car fleet's belonging, we're capable of providing on-the-go applications and services to the car and providing control, agility, and seamless access to our customers. I'm so sure how close I am from doing this. So I'm going to share. I'm sharing this video. Interesting. Sorry. Sorry. I'm sharing this video of a rental I made 2 weeks ago in Paris from a leading car sharing company, and I just plugged the dongle that my team, the team in Tel Aviv sent me, and I haven't seen them in, unfortunately, 4 months. And just installed it. In a matter of seconds, I had the Ovo icon available on the screen and was able to reach through a cloud menu. And that's what I was telling you about, the capacity of providing a brand world that's unique. This is not an Android Auto menu. This is a menu that can be defined by the car, by the customer, and completely owned by the customer. Of course, you could do. I put Google Maps because it's easier, but you can do tutorials. You can do videos. You can install games. You can just install any processes, questionnaires, registration. For example, in this car, there's a keyboard to register the car and to open up everything. And you could substitute the keyboard. You could substitute, of course, the additional screens that often companies are doing it. And as you can see here, in a matter of minutes, I was able to just change the apps and just do it from my own personal computer. So it's not like I'm a geek or anything. It gives you that level of flexibility, of reactiveness, and it opens up a completely new world in terms of what customer interaction is all about in the car. I think I'm reaching my limit. I'm seeing it's 1:39. I hope you found this presentation interesting. We're certainly very excited by our journey, and we invite you to reach out to us, either because you are you have the same problems as these car rental companies, for example, or because you have your service providers and you're interested in us providing you a platform to deliver your service into the car. So thank you very much for your time. Feel free to come and ask questions in the Q&A, or reach out later on. It's not a problem. Thank you take care.